Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a little over 3 weeks since we filled up my new aquarium with water. The 100-gallon Saltwater Paludarium is ready for more life. The plants are settling in and the pair of fish we added last week are exploring their new home. The group of snails is working around the clock to keep the aquarium nice and clean. Things are looking good as the reef is slowly coming to life, but we will also discover life in the form of pests. We have to deal with them quickly before they become a bigger problem. Today it is time to introduce the first batch of life to the aquarium. Last week I posted a video on this channel where I showed you the process of building this aquarium. It took me, a friend and some family members a few weeks to get it to look like this. It was a process of trial and error and we spent many nights working on it. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend you check it out. I will link that video at the end of this video. Last week I asked you for suggestions of what kind of fish, coral and invertebrates we should add to this enormous system. We received so many comments, from small nanofish to pufferfish and even sharks. But unfortunately, not all of them were a good option. There were also lots of questions regarding the system, about the measurements of the aquarium, the amount of flow, and how much it costs to set up. So before we get started, let's answer some of those questions really quick. This is an aquarium made of ultra clear glass. It measures 250 centimeters in length by 55 centimeters in depth and 30 centimeters in height. For the American viewers, that's 8 feet 2 inches by 1 foot 9.5 inches by 1 foot. During filming, flow is turned down to a minimum because rippling water causes the video footage to become pixelated and very unpleasant to look at. Normally, when I'm not filming or taking pictures, there's around 100 times the amount of water that's in the tank flowing through the system. And then about the cost, well, that's a sensitive topic. I didn't realize it cost this much already, and it's not even stocked with a lot of coral, fish or invertebrates yet. This will likely be the most expensive part of the system. However, I calculated how much this setup would cost so far, including the cabinets, tank, equipment, rocks, water and everything you see here. And so far, if you want to replicate this system, it would cost you about 12,000 euros or a little over 13,000 USD. Now, this amount can differ based on your location. In some countries, certain supplies are cheaper or more expensive. So knowing that, I would really appreciate it if you watch this video till the end and give this video a thumbs up. Also make sure you are subscribed to the channel, because the more of you that are here, the more exciting things we can do with this aquarium. Now let's get back to the topic of this video, adding more life to the Saltwater Paludarium. One idea that a lot of people agreed on is that a large group of fish would look really cool in a tank this long. I explored the options and decided to order a group of Banggai cardinal fish. These fish are very common in the saltwater hobby and are relatively easy to keep and breed. The interesting part about the breeding process is that these fish are mouth brooders. They carry the babies inside their mouths. I also thought that small nanofish would be an expensive but very fun option for this aquarium. Iviota and Trimma species are a species of very small nanogoby fish that usually don't get a lot bigger than 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch. I was able to order 2 types of these fish. I went for 2 smaller groups of 5 fish. I think this is a good amount to start out with. There are also a few other species that I think are a great fit for this setup, but I will reveal those later in this video. First, let's acclimate them. Imagine being dropped into a new world. Temperature is different, water feels weird, and everything smells off. That's what happens to your fish and corals if you toss them straight into the new aquarium. It's a shock to their system. That's why acclimation is super important, because if you rush, you might accidentally cause an ammonia spike that could harm your fish. This is often the case with fish that are shipped or spent hours inside a bag. However, if you just pick them up from the local fish store, then this wouldn't really be a concern. Here's the deal. When fish are shipped, they excrete waste. This releases ammonia into the water. In a sealed bag, that ammonia starts to build up because there's no filtration. It can get toxic really quick. So why don't the fish get hurt during the trip? Well, here's the cool part. As they breathe, they also release carbon dioxide, which lowers the pH of the water inside the bag. At lower pH levels, ammonia, which is super toxic, gets converted into ammonium, which is way less harmful. So during transit, the fish are mostly safe. But here's where things get tricky. The moment you open that bag and introduce fresh air, the pH starts to rise again, and bam! What was once safe ammonium flips back into toxic ammonia. If you're not careful, this ammonia spike can stress your fish, or worse, cause fatal ammonia poisoning. In addition to this group of Banggai cardinal fish and gobies, I also ordered a few other interesting animals. I ordered 3 sand-sifting starfish that will help keep the sand clean. But that's not all. These are called sea cucumbers. They come in a lot of different varieties and colors, but these in particular are great at keeping the sand bed clean. And yeah, I agree, they look pretty weird, but they're pretty awesome as well. Last but definitely not least in the shipment is a very cool shrimp that caught my eye on the website. I had never seen it before. I did some research on it online and it turns out it eats brittle starfish. I found a lot of these tiny starfish inside the live rock I ordered from Indonesia. I think this next animal is a great addition to the new reef. This is a kind of harlequin shrimp called a spiny tiger shrimp. It is pretty uncommon here on the European market. This shrimp doesn't get much bigger than 2 centimeters or less than an inch, so we will likely never see it again, but thankfully we were able to get a glimpse of it today when we added it to the aquarium. It will have plenty of space to hide and prey on brittle starfish, and hopefully we'll just see it again someday. Now, in addition to all these live creatures, I also picked up some very cool species of macroalgae. The person that bought some of my old corals when I took down my previous aquariums happened to be a fan of macroalgae. I will find an appropriate place for them on the reef later, but for now I will just place them on this live rock. Now, of course, the new fish are still a little bit shy, especially the Banggai cardinal fish. The gobies already seem to enjoy their new home. They are jumping all over the rocks. I think this is a very cool addition to a tank this big. When sitting down a few feet from the tank, you will see them dart around the tank all over the place. It will be very interesting. The Banggais will hopefully start schooling together a little bit more in the coming days. I have 10 of them now, but might add a few more later on. Now, before we take a look at the pests I discovered in the tank, I'd like to know what you think about this setup so far. It's slowly coming to life and I would like to know your thoughts and suggestions in terms of stocking ideas for fish, corals and inverts. There are so many options. So, it is time for some pest control. For this, we'll have to get a syringe and needle out. This is going to be a very bad day for these pests. Live rock. As with all good things, it comes with its own story. Both blessings and a few, let's say, mysterious surprises. Let me take you on a journey. Inside this rock, beneficial bacteria thrive, creating natural filters for the water, breaking down waste, and keeping everything clean. These bacteria, our little invisible heroes, are what makes this live rock so special. They work tirelessly to maintain a stable environment. It's like bringing a piece of the ocean's soul into your home, but wait. That's not all. Inside these crevices of the rock, you'll find life in all forms. It's like inviting tiny janitors to take care of your underwater world. But live rock is not always predictable. Sometimes, along with those friendly creatures, you'll get a few uninvited guests. In this instance, I found Aptasia. These anemones can quickly spread all over your reef and start irritating corals and even small animals. So it is important to act quickly so it doesn't spread even further. That's why we're using a product today that will hopefully eradicate these anemones. Later, I will also add some natural predators like peppermint shrimp or Bergian nudibranchs. These animals will act as a precautionary measure in case we missed a few of the anemones today. With a syringe, we will put some of the product into the mouth of the anemone. Then, in a few minutes' time, the anemone will just dissolve. I tried it in an old tank of mine and it works great. And just like that, we might have saved the reef from a catastrophe. Now in the coming weeks, it is time to introduce some coral to the aquarium. Hopefully these corals don't come with a lot of pests. We'll have to go through a process to make sure they are clean. So if you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below, and I hope to see you on the next episode. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.